Before day one of testing at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Defensive linemen and linebackers are first to start this week. Wanted to look at two per position, including four within that defensive line that I've specifically got my eyes on tomorrow for testing, for whether that's, hoping that they have certain measurables, hoping that they hit a certain threshold in a drill or the 40 or anything of the like. These are the six guys that I'm the most keyed in on among the 300 to 335 currently on my board. I started off first with Gracen Halton, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. I think for starters, he comes in measuring for the Senior Bowl at 6'2.5", 293. Want to see him retain that as an interior known for getting skinny, shooting gaps, getting across the blocker's face. I think he will test very well. I've got a Kobe Turner comp for further perspective of some of the athletic thresholds and play style you can expect if that pertains to your team, and really just want to see matching to the tape we've seen throughout his career at Oklahoma. 8.5 sacks the last 2 years, second in pressures among SEC defensive tackles with 30. Very quick first step. I see that translating to both of his shuttles. I see that translating to, the 40, though we're not as concerned about the big guys running 40 yards downfield. Most excited to see him that first 10 yards out of the gate. Imagine with his agility, he's going to be someone that does really, really good on the cones and can show that ability to get low center of gravity. I could very much see him coming out of testing tomorrow being the person who, as far as a consensus, rose the most on boards. And for people that come around doing the victory laps of him being a my guy for them. So Gracen Halton, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma, would be the first one. I jump over a little shorter to Zane Durant, defensive tackle out of Penn State. Can tell you at 6'1", 290. This guy is built like a bowling ball in every way of the word. He did measure in verified at 6'1" at the Senior Bowl, but I can tell you from my own eyes, having been there, he is so dense and so compact. I can't believe he's 6'1". Definitely a leverage winner. And my biggest quote coming from having about 15 to 20 player interviews in Mobile at the Senior Bowl is he said he's aiming to crack 4.7 in the 40-yard dash or be in those 4.7s. And at that size and his stature, that is another one that if he is in that realm, and I understand some guys can, hype it up a little bit, we're going to be talking big time. We're going to be talking big time and relating it back to my other defensive interior mention. And you notice a theme. I'm going with the 295 and sub weight because I think that's where we're going to see some really elite testing. And those guys have to have that kind of testing. Otherwise, they're just going to hear about how they're average at best athletes and are at a smaller stature. They need to stand out. I think those are two that are going to participate in all the drills, and they know this is where their money gets made this week. Jumping over to some edges in this class, there is no doubt in my mind Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma, showing some Sooner love here in this quick little clip. Mason Thomas, 6'2", 249 as a pass rusher. He's been a little mislabeled as a DPR. I think when you look at some of his run defense numbers, much better than he's given credit. He has said that in interviews today at the podium in Indianapolis. Great change of direction and motor. This guy's going to run the best hoop of anyone in the group. I feel as confident in that prediction as about I could on the defensive side of testing. His bend is elite. The speed is elite. He said today in interviewing that he's aiming for a 4.4 in the 40. And the fact that not only am I sitting here not telling you that he's being moronic, that I tell you that it's very much possible, is a testament to the kind of athlete Mason is. And a lot of it comes from genetics. His dad played defensive end for the Gators back in the day, and the production's there to match. The production, the tape, and the testing, all three holy trinities about to come together for Mason Thomas tomorrow as he aims to put himself in those first-round conversations as more of a consensus and to establish a floor that right now I would say I don't think this guy's getting out of the top 50 picks. But you're talking about a first and second team All-SEC performer, 15.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. So this is not a case of oh, he's going to come do some crazy testing, but people want to complain that the production wasn't there that we've seen in some past performers. Not throwing a stray here like a Shamar Stewart, for example, at 4.5 sacks, but a guy that was roughly a 9.99 or a 10 RAS, relative athletic score. It's going to be all three for Thomas tomorrow. I just don't see any world we don't come out of testing day one in Indianapolis with him getting the most buzz, particularly that edge group. I'd segue that over to a little bit more, I don't want to say a sleeper, but as far as testing and having a big day tomorrow, a name I have not heard as much as I think we should the last few days, and that's Jaishawn Barham, linebacker convert to edge out of Michigan. Talking about somebody that started at Wisconsin as a Mike linebacker before transitioning to an outside pass rushing linebacker at Michigan, and then ultimately this year going down to a true edge position. 36 linebacker starts collegiately, 11 edge starts this season, 82 pressures and 11 sacks as a linebacker in his career, rushing multiple gaps, getting outside of the tackle, and showing enough that at 6'3", 241, let's say you knew nothing about his strength profile. Those numbers, to be able to show he's got that much twitch, that much bend and ability to put him, as an explosive edge that closes on tackles, and I tell you, sets the edge as well. And I know as far as testing, you're not going to see as much of this, as much of the physicality, but you're going to see the explosiveness running the hoop, similar to what I said on R. Mason Thomas. This guy in his shuttle drills, running the 40, I mean, he plays like a Tasmanian devil, kind of heat-seeking missile out there. And he's going to be able to match the tape with that tomorrow. This is a board riser for sure. If you were to ask me right now, even having being someone that is that level of high and understanding of him, I would say he's probably a third-round pick. But tomorrow there's going to be a lot of chatter coming out of Jaishawn Barham. That's another one to get excited about. And, and switching it over, lastly here in this clip, talking about the linebackers that are going to test tomorrow, I don't see how you don't start with Jacob Rodriguez, Butkus Award winner out of Texas Tech. And it's not as much that I, like some of the previous mentions, think he goes and blows up Indianapolis tomorrow. I think it's more of this being an example of, can we see thresholds be met to match this incredible tape and production and accolades that we've gotten out of Rodriguez here, particularly this year? How much does he hang athletically? You're talking about a guy that got all the hardware. Just questions about some of his straight line speed, some of his strength in terms of hanging in the front seven. He's going to be the ultimate interview. There's no question about that. Teams are going to be all over this guy. I can tell you from the Senior Bowl experience, he was the most popular teammate there. The production shined even at the Senior Bowl. It was like every time I turned around, Rodriguez forced a fumble, had an interception on a tipped to pass for an interception, had a sack, had a great coverage, stoned a running back in coverage drills, had an incredible week of that form of testing in the bowl circuit. Want to see him go and meet those thresholds, match the tape. For this to be somebody that, if you ask the 32 fan bases across the league, most all are going to tell you that this is the guy. I think he's one of the 2 to 3 most popular players in this class, where everybody's pulling for him. Interested to see how he runs, obviously, if he can hit a good number in the 40 to get a good start to the day. And then just see some of that lateral agility and how he matches up with that. Because as far as instinctual, following lead, things of that sort, we know he's going to look great there no matter what. But really pulling for Rodriguez tomorrow. And then lastly, kind of to the flip side of that linebacker group, you're going to see Jay Golday out of Cincinnati just absolutely show out tomorrow. Somebody who signed with Central Arkansas as an edge, as a 0-star in 2023, playing on the defensive line, made that switch once transferring to Cincinnati to play linebacker. This past season, you're talking about 100-plus tackles, 3.5 sacks worth of production on tape. And that's a testament to his edge background, the physicality that comes with him as a 240, 245 pounder running around at what is listed in, I believe, every bit of it a 6'4", very proportionally built. And the numbers are already gaudy, and we're going to get further verification tomorrow, obviously. But you look at some of his Feldman's Freaks numbers: a 4.24 shuttle, 10'7" broad jump, recorded at 22 plus miles an hour, and a 365 bench max. This is the guy that's going to absolutely light it up in that linebacker group. And even more specifically, someone who's going to light it up in this linebacker group and have conventional linebacker size.